Now I must warn you, a la Pagliacci and the many clowns who came before me, my story too is tragic. Hi, my name is Tati, and I'm a freelance ventriloquist. Welcome to my channel. I'm also not sure what to talk about today, so I'm going to talk about something that I spend a lot of my time thinking about, which is myself. I was born in the mountainous region of a beautiful country far, far away with its fair share of legal eccentricities. And due to concern for those same legal eccentricities, I will not be confirming the name of my beloved homeland. But you can feel free to use your imagination. What am I wearing? It's just so hot. That was really weird. Why did I put that on? My father was said to have made a series of legal oopsies and now faced a spanking of lethal proportions. Just like that, we had to flee our home country overnight. And so it came that I found myself dressed as a little boy in the back of a Toyota crossing a border illegally. We crossed into a new country, a country where we didn't speak the language, but a country that held a body, a body of people, perhaps wizards or congressmen or diplomats. I don't know, I never looked into it, but this same body granted us political asylum into the United States. As an adolescent, I entered an American elementary school where I did not learn any new concept in mathematics for 6 to 7 years. I did learn about bullying. That's right, Miles. I'll never forget your stupid little ginger face. I was bullied in elementary school by a boy, physically bullied and emotionally harassed. I looked him up on Facebook recently. He's doing well. He's married. And that is how I know that God is not real. During this time was when I first noticed the void within. I started trying to fill it with food. My parents were both working two jobs as they had entered a country in their late 40s with 3 children and $100, so I spent a lot of time alone. They bought me kid cuisines. I used to cut out the brownies out of a second tray in addition to my first tray and have bonus dessert. There was another incident, which can only really happen to a foppish immigrant in America. My mom had concern about my growing waistline, and she had heard something about Slim Fast weight loss shakes. She knew that they were supposed to help you lose weight, but she didn't know how. She thought there was something inherent to the shakes themselves. She made me drink one alongside every meal, hoping that this would make her daughter lose some weight. She didn't know that they were meal replacement bars and not in addition to meal bars. And so I grew larger and larger. I was homely as a child and as an adolescent. My parents didn't have to worry about boys or too many friends or raucous parties. In fact, my high school crush would later go on to tell me that as a kid, I looked like the actor John Lovitz. But anyway, I became inclined toward science and mathematics as a way to garner positive attention from those around me. Then, in high school, my dad died in a way that was public and gruesome and way too much for me to explore, either in here or out of here, and I will never do so for fear it'll make me lose my humorous edge. So that's how I entered college, where I studied biochemistry, not from any passion, not from any drive within, but from a deep need, like any other immigrant picking a major in college, to later be economically secure. And I did pretty well in college. I studied biochemistry and eventually graduated with a 3.97 GPA. Humble brag. Not so humble brag. I'm pretty proud of that. And then right before I graduated college, something else terrible happened, which I won't be talking about here. And now I'm sure you can understand why it must be frustrating to be my therapist. But, that's not what we're here for today. College was also when I got my rhinoplasty, which is also known as the time I became pretty. And all of a sudden, things seemed to change a little bit in terms of how other people treated me. With my shiny new diploma and $8,000 of student loan debt in hand, I entered my first job as a working professional as a laboratory scientist. In baby's first science experiment, in what I had promised myself would make me happy, I found some mental stimulation, but then the void within returned. I was no longer happy. I did not feel fulfilled. I didn't feel any of the things that I had told myself for years that I would at this point. So I went on man's search for meaning. I went to therapy, I meditated, I volunteered, I took additional classes, I even read. I was determined to find what would give my life ultimate meaning. And eventually, through excruciating self reflection, I thought I had found my great whale. It turned out what was missing from my life was more student loan debt. I moved a 3 hour plane ride away from home for graduate school, all the way over here to Texas. It was the first time I had lived more than a 10-minute drive away from my mom or my other family members, so the going got rough, and when the going gets rough, the tough eat 3 pounds of salami a night repeatedly in order to comfort themselves. At least that's what I did, and it worked, and then I gained like 60 pounds in 9 months, but sometimes you gotta get round in order to pass through a very difficult time. At least that's what I tell myself. Also, in this time, I entered the dating world. I downloaded Tinder and I uploaded a photo with a hint of cleavage. I had so many matches, as I'm sure you can imagine. Amongst them, one time, there was a gentleman whose bio was extremely romantic in a way that I couldn't say no to. This particular gentleman's bio said 6'4", software engineer, and that's all I needed to know. It was love at first read. And then I graduated. I was so excited. After all, this is what 3 years, 3 excruciating years of self reflection and a woman's search for meaning had led me to. I was ready to save the world. Except I had to spend a lot of time learning the ins and outs of insurance because it turns out that to be able to save the world, you have to learn how to bill and code it correctly. I had this really, really bad heartburn that wouldn't go away. And so I became a patient and I inquired about what was going on for about 6 months as this feeling grew worse and worse. Turns out I was actually just really burned out. And just like that, the void within returned. The void within is why I'm here with you. Maybe this can provide some meaning, but probably not. By the way, just as an aside, I have a huge pet peeve of when healthcare providers are like in their car in scrubs and they have their stethoscope around their neck. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to listen for the carburetor with that stethoscope, dog? Why is that on you? That's actually why I haven't mentioned this so far in my videos, because when I'm here as Tati. I am not here as Tati, who is going to misdiagnose you and spend 5 minutes with you in the room and 15 minutes charting after you leave. I'm starting to think that the void is just me and I am the void as nothing fills it, not 3 pounds of banana bread, not getting married, not a job change. But that doesn't stop me from trying, especially with the banana bread. I don't know if the void within will ever leave me. I don't know if I'll end up jumping into the void within. But for right now, I'm just kind of going along. And I'm doing this and it's fun. And for now, maybe that's enough. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Otherwise, there'll be a pox on your family. And I'm allowed to say that legally and medically speaking, because I know.